So yeah, quite a fair bit of work has gone into that roof. As you can see, a couple of little spots here where I did cut back through. Yeah, lots of polyester primer, lots of bog. And I did actually end up like digging out all of that seam sealer, the old seam sealer, because like a lot of it was cracked. And I think that's one of the spots that a lot of the water was actually getting through onto the inside of the body of the vehicle. I also think a big part of it was there was an antenna, like an aerial hole there, and I don't think that that was sealed up properly. So that's two good things to have sealed up properly this time. But as you can see there, I've gone and re-sealed those edges. I've done that both sides. Anyway, time to get some yeah, polyurethane primer on. So I'm using the Quartz branded stuff here, 4:1. It is a killer 2-pack primer. I went for the white color because I'm painting my car orange. That's going to be the best ground coat. So the spray gun I'm using is a DeVilbiss GPG. So this was previously called the DeVilbiss GPI. So I've always been a big fan of this gun. They actually did a bit of a rebrand to GPG, which, to be honest, I think that was a terrible move. It just made it more convoluted and just than it really needed to be. It was just so easy before, because yeah, they made it more confusing than it really had to be. Like the previous branding was so much easier to understand. But either way, this GPG now is available in more fluid tip sizes, so you can actually get it in a 1.3, 1.4, 1.8, and I think it comes in a 2mm now as well. But don't quote me on that. Maybe just go and check on Spray Guns Direct website if you are interested. But yeah, one thing I do like about this gun is that you can definitely use it at home, so it's not like an air pig. It doesn't use a massive volume of air. But like I said, you've got all those different fluid tip sizes, so it'll spray most things that you want to put inside it, short of like a polyester spray filler. You will struggle with that unless you find a way to thin it down with an acetone, which kind of defeats the purpose of it. I've actually got a review on some polyester spray fillers coming up soon. That'll be probably one of the next videos on the channel. But yeah, I got an opportunity to use a couple of different polyester spray fillers on this. Some of them mixed results, so to speak, but either way, I'll get into that in that video. So yeah, the primer that I used here, as you can see there, is the VOC Fuller primer. So that's 4:1, and Quartz is the brand. So again, thanks to Spray Guns Direct for sending that out. And I just put 10% reducer in, and I put 4 coats on. Well, I put 4 coats on where the repairs were and 3 on the rest of it, so I was going to get another good block down before I paint it. So I got that roof into urethane primer last night, and it is looking killer. So it was probably about a week in progress, and the next step is I just decided, like I'm at the point where it's like pick a panel type thing, and just move along and get it. Like, you know, I could have done those guards, because those guards, they're just sitting there in epoxy primer. So they do need the filler work done, and they need a maybe polyester primer and then a urethane primer as well. But I decided to do the sill panel here, so it's going to need a fair bit of filler work down the bottom there, and I'll get these jams into urethane primer as well. But yeah, so like here was a bit of a patch which I welded in. Like it's a bit sort of wavy. But it doesn't matter. Like, I'm not looking for perfection in this car. It was rough to start off with. I don't see the use in over-capitalizing. Like, nothing I can really do to this car is going to stop it from being a rough body, you know what I mean? Like, even if I just say tap that out a little bit better, or some of these here, let's just say I did spend that extra, like, it's just a rough body. Like, nothing I can do is going to change that, if you know what I mean? And, like, I've got a good amount of faith in the fillers that I'm using, that they will last. And the way that I see it, like, the important thing is that the metal is clean, free of rust, and treated properly and primed with a good quality zinc primer, epoxy primer. So that, like, I'm ticking all the boxes that I care about. Yes, it's not perfect. No, it's definitely not going to ever be perfect. I'm not looking for that out of this car. Anyway, let's get into it. Rightio guys, so yeah, spent a couple of days on these door jams here. So when I primed it up, I was using the U-Pol 2-pack epoxy primer, and it was an absolute prick. So the reason I did that, because like I was waiting for that Quartz stuff, and I was going to get like, I had what was it, like 2 5-litre kits of the quartz. So I was just ordering like 1 litre kits of this U-Pole, and like the U-Pole was the only one that came in a 1 litre kit. So I did order a couple, I think it might have been 2 or 3 all in the end. So I did like the door jambs both sides, and even insides of, I think actually one of these doors did get inside and outside prime with this U-Pole stuff, but it's a real prick to work with. I'm not a big fan of it. I mean, I think it does its job just fine, but it's really thick, I found, and like at this point when I'd done these jams, I didn't realize that you could thin it down just with normal thinner, because it didn't actually give any advice on the label. But anyway, like what that ended up doing is you can see like just around these kind of areas there, like it's it did start running because it was so thick. So after I did a couple of, someone left a comment and told me that you can actually thin it down with normal thinners, so thanks to whoever did that. But yeah, I mean, look, what you can do, like, and I probably should have done it in hindsight, of you can like recoat it with like any urethane primer, and because that's so much easier to sand, like it was hard as a rock to sand, and because of all like the intricate like angles and stuff like that, and the runs, I had to get like bits of 120 or even 80 grit on some certain spots to get, because it was all like running down here, because it was just an absolute nightmare to work with that stuff. But either way, you know, life is a learning experience, isn't it? But yeah, got all the filler work done down there. There was a big hole here. Those of you who've been watching from the start may remember, probably won't, but either way, there was like a big, I just cut like a big rectangle out of there. And then I treated the inside of the sill panel, because there's no other real proper access point. So I actually treated the inside of the sill panel while that was off with some, what was it? With some cavity wax, that's right. Got some cavity wax inside there, and then and then after I did the cavity wax, I found out that it was flammable. So I was like putting out bloody spot fires when I was welding it back in. So another learning experience, you know, as I say, like I'm not a panel beater, but I'm giving it a shot, and yeah, it's fun. I'm having fun. This is a hobby project, as I've said in previous videos, and it's not even work. Like someone actually left a good comment the other day saying like, it's not even work. Like someone's criticizing my work. He said, oh, you know, like that's not even work, that's a slaughterhouse. And then someone jumped in my defense and said, it's not even work, man. Like it's a hobby. Like I'm doing what I want on my own car. Like it doesn't even feel like work. But in saying that, it did start feeling like work last night. I was in here, it must have been like, yeah, 7 o'clock hit, and it started feeling like work because it was a prick sanding these jams down. I dropped a bit of sandpaper and walked straight out. And that's the beauty of this project, is as soon as it starts feeling like work, as soon as I'm not having fun, I'm out of it, you know, because it's kind of not work. It's a hobby for me. I'm doing it because I love it. And part of me is nearly even like wanting to slow it down so that I can sort of, you know, extend, because I'm actually having so much fun in the process. Like, sure, it would be cool to have like a Torana in my driveway that I can just drive, but I'm actually enjoying doing the work, and there's something a lot more pure about doing it this way. Like, there's no money involved, so I've been thinking about it, and it's like, that's why, one of the reasons I actually like to work on wages is because when you're a business owner, and anyone who's a business owner will know this, like everything's about money, you know what I mean? And when you're an employee, like, yeah, at the end of the week, you want your paycheck, sure. But you don't go to work thinking about money, you know what I mean? Like when you're working on a job, you're not thinking, oh geez, am I gonna get enough money on this, or shit, you know, I better rush this one out, and then possibly even drop your quality level below what you might want to do because of the money. So I just think there's something much more pure about, you know, doing work without money involved in it. And that's why this, and there's no time as well. Like I'm not in a hurry to get it done either. So there's just something, this has been the most special job for me when it comes to doing work on a car. And it's kind of hard to explain, like, cause I've never quite experienced this experience. Because in the past, it's always been at someone's, you know, you're using someone else's workshop, or, you know, you're borrowing someone else's workshop. So you kind of got to get it in and get it out. So the beauty of this is doing it at home. It's just been so much fun to just really, really enjoy the procedure. So anyway, I've been ranting on about that a little bit too long. So So I haven't been out here this early for a while. I've had my 2 weeks holidays and I've got 2 days left on my holidays and 8 o'clock in the morning, and I'm all keen to get out here. I guess part of it is, you know, during your holidays you want to sort of recharge your batteries, so I've been just taking it at my own pace. I guess I've always been taking it at my own pace, but what I've done in my 2 weeks holidays is got the roof all repaired, poly primed, blocked, repaired, and into urethane primer. I've done these door jambs too. You may actually notice it's a slightly different shade. So I've got 2 kits of the quartz white urethane primer, and I started to notice I'm actually starting to go through, like nearly halfway through one of them. So I thought, you know what? I've got some autothane 2-pack urethane primer. So I thought I'll use that on the door jambs and all the insides, you know, like so the inside of the bonnet, inside of the boot lid and the door jambs, just to sort of use some of that up, and hopefully I won't have to buy another can of primer. That's the only reason that I've done that. But I did notice here, it's still like a little bit low, so I'm going to have to put a little bit more filler in there. Apart from that, like this is actually looking quite nice. I think I mentioned it previously, but I did go around and re-seal all up over these edges. There is another little bit here which I'm going to have to put a little bit of knifing putty in as well. But yeah, like even that sill panel. So the sill panel, I decided, because it's so low, I'm not actually going to poly prime it, and it turns out it didn't need it. I did just put an extra couple of coats of urethane primer down. I think it probably got like 4 or 5 down there, but you know, I've got a few little pinholes, so I'll pick them up now. Like I'll wipe that 2-pack filler in there now, just so it can go nice and dry for later on. And I've sort of made a plan. I've decided on my next move. So what I'm going to do is put those little bits of filler in, get the car back down. I'm actually going to push it over to this side, and then I'll jack it up to do the other side. And I'm going to give myself a bit of room. That's why I'm actually going to move it over to this side of the garage. Give myself a little bit of room to get these guards sorted out. So I'm going to get those guards into primer, and I've also got like a few other like nose panels and scuttle panels, and probably even do the bonnet as well. But yeah, it's going to sort of help, because I mean, like as I've mentioned in previous videos, for a single car garage, it's actually quite generous. But you know, it's quite tight. If you're trying to work on multiple panels in that little area, it's not too good. But that's why I thought if I moved it over here, I'd sort of have a little bit extra room down the side of the car, and I could put like one of the guards or something down there. So yeah, making good progress, guys. And that's what I forgot. So that was the door that I did actually finish off at the start of my holiday. So that door's ready for a final sand. The roof's ready for a final sand. This door jam's ready for a final sand. So in 3 weeks, that's what I've done. You know, not heaps of work. I haven't been, you know, busting a gut going hammer and tong. It's just been, you know, throw a couple of hours here and there when I get the chance. So just had a bit of a clean up and moved that car over to the other side. Ready to get some fiberglass in the deep spots. So I don't know if any of you do remember, but I did have to put a decent sized patch in there. Now, look, the way I do it, I'm not a panel beater, I've said that many a times in this build, but what I'll do is I'll weld it in, and I'll just make sure it's in rather than out, right? And then I'll just go and put some fiberglass filler over the top of that, sand that back, and then probably give it like a skim or 2 of body filler. Now, this section here is actually proof to me that done right, I mean, you can get a really thick amount of body filler and fiberglass into something without it failing. Now, this did eventually fail, but the body filler didn't fail. So to be clear, it was like it re-rusted up. So previously, I remember doing it when I was like 20 years old, right? I've got no shame, like I don't mind, I'm happy to tell you, but I remember like there was a little bit of a rust hole here or something like that, and it was quite deep. But look, it must have been insanely deep like that, because I actually ground it all out, and there was just heaps and heaps and heaps of fiberglass and body filler in there. The fiberglass and the body filler didn't fail. More rust came up. So if I had to say properly welded in a little patch, which back then I didn't even really know how to weld. I think I was just learning how to. But yeah, either way, I just fiberglassed it up, and if it wasn't for the rust coming back, it did last. So I've got no doubts that this is going to last another 20 years, you know, so yeah, it's all good. Either way, I'm just going to get some fiberglass filler in there. I did notice 1 or 2 little high spots there. This is going to last a hell of a lot longer than what it did last time. So either way, let's just get some of this fiberglass filler in. So the stuff I'm using, the Spray Guns Direct were kind enough to sponsor me some body fillers and that. So the brand I'm using is Car Finish, and it's called Fiber Power. Yeah, it's been good so far. Nice strong hold, and it goes really nice and hard. So there you go, guys. That's about it for this vid. Nothing wrong with a bit of good old cave and pave. And if you're gonna do it, just use fiberglass where possible, just in the deepest of the spots, like you see me doing there. Yeah, it's standard body filler. Yep, it's quite strong too. It's lightweight, but yeah, where possible in the deep spots, use a bit of fiberglass filler. Anyway, guys, that's about it for this video. Hopefully you did enjoy it. If you did, be sure to give it a big thumbs up. If you would like to support the show, be sure to go and check out our merchandise. Get out there and paint some shit. Gunman out.